This is the value of wrestling, the revolutionary force in wrestling podcasting.
Oh, on the Big Time. I'm here with Big Time Rants number 76. We're going to talk about Ronda Rousey hating WWE, Goldberg being bitter, Bray Wyatt Hall of Fame, MJF, the Slammy Awards returning, and Tony Khan. Can he book it or not? We're going to talk about it. We're going to delve all into that right after this. So come back and join me right here on the Big Time Rants, right here on the value of wrestling. Oh, you didn't know? Well, you better let somebody else know because we are here. We are back on the Value of Wrestling. I'm the Big Time. Welcome to the Value of Wrestling right here on YouTube. This is Big Time Rants, episode 76. I think we've got 3 episodes in 1 week. That is pretty awesome. We are just streamlining out. Lots of stuff to talk about going into this week. So we're building up to WrestleMania. So it's getting exciting. It's getting awesome. We're going to talk about it. We'll talk about Ronda Rousey hates WWE for the most part. She has came out with her upcoming book, Our Fight, which debuts or comes slated for release on April 4th. During her interview to promote the book, she was asked about backstage stuff, and her response is, and I quote, how much of an absolute show it is at WWE because they can't hold the story over my head and hold me hostage with my own career. I don't need anything from them, and I don't intend on going back there so I can say everything that I think and feel while everybody else is still captive by their organization. She's made remarks very clear about people, higher positions, holding women, promising more airtime in exchange for possible favors. We're not going to get into the details, but it is out there. She adamantly pretty much hates the WWE, never plans on returning. She did show a lot of the stories about Vince McMahon giving more truth to the rumors than not, and did back up Triple H as being a better person. And that she at least had some respect for Triple H, but would not be returning to WWE after everything that went down with other people in that company and the way they ran business. Ronda Rousey has her book, Our Fight, coming out April 4th. Should be an interesting read, whether you liked her in WWE or didn't like her, whether you want to see her back in the wrestling ring somewhere. It's, hit or miss. Everybody has their opinion. It's up for you to decide, but that is coming out April, right before WrestleMania. The Slammy Awards are making a comeback at WWE World. WWE has officially declared that the 2024 Slammys, the Fans' Choice Awards, will be broadcast live from WWE World, presented in collaboration with Fanatics on April 7th. This highly anticipated event will be co-hosted by Kathy Kelly and Big E, with special guest appearances from various WWE stars throughout the show. The Slammys, the Fan Choice Awards, are aired live on Sunday, April 7th from WWE World at WrestleMania. Streaming live across WWE social media platforms, with voting open today until Wednesday, March 27th. So go ahead and go to WWE.com/Slammys to get your votes in for the Slammys this year, which will take, I believe it's night 2 of WrestleMania going on there. You can watch your social media. Get who wins what. Should be a fun time in the Old Town tonight. MJF making some breaking news. MJF seems to have his merchandise removed. This was pretty much right after he lost his match at World's End in April, or the new year began. MJF, you cannot go onto the AEWshop.com and find MJF in merchandise. It was blocked. Still seems to be this way. Seems to be set up why he's out on injury. I think it's a big ball drop here by AEW. We heard all about the bidding war of 2024. This was something MJF talked up a lot on AEW TV. Now that he's not with the company, he's out on injury. We don't know what his status is. We all assume that he's still signed with AEW and will return at some point to AEW. Some people hedging their bets that he will return as soon as Dynasty on April 21st. That could be a big, huge deal. Will it happen? We don't know. We're going to have to wait and see how that kind of plays out. Other than that, you can't buy MJF merchandise, but when he returns, I'm sure they're going to be bringing in brand new merchandise for returning MJF, depending on how he plays out things. Sad part is Tony Khan is missing an opportunity to use MJF's name, continue the story of the bidding war of 2024, make some controversy, make some statement, make people build up in anticipation for the return to MJF of AEW, or make them wonder if he will go to WWE instead of just open speculation that is still happening. At least Tony Khan can capitalize on it, maybe make some money. Unless MJF is not a part of AEW, who knows what the real story is here. Going to get real interesting. Will we see MJF back in AEW? I'm pretty sure we will, but they've really kept him quiet and out of all the talks. And I think it shows in the ratings that AEW without MJF, not. Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt had passed away in August of 2023 last year, and the WWE Universe permanently expressed their wishes to see Bray Wyatt inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Recognized for his contributions, former WWE champion, many believe Bray Wyatt is a deserving candidate for such an honor. However, his absence to the WWE Hall of Fame has been revealed thanks to Dave Meltzer. Following Bray Wyatt's untimely passing last summer, WWE announced the new documentary, Bray Wyatt Becoming Immortal, set to premiere on Peacock on April 1st. Teaser shared on their official social media platforms, ignited anticipation and respect for the tribute. The fans want Bray Wyatt to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, but according to Dave Meltzer's Uncle Davey, Wrestling Observer newsletter, one factor contributing to Bray Wyatt's absence from this year's Hall of Fame induction is the upcoming documentary about him. However, it suggests that he will eventually be honored with induction to the Hall of Fame at a later date. Meltzer says, I was told this has something to do with the decision not to induct Wyatt into the Hall of Fame this year, but this year they were doing the big documentary for him and would induct him later. Bray Wyatt's legacy will live on forever in the hearts of his family, friends, and devoted fans. His profound impact on the wrestling world will be remembered for generations to come, ensuring that his memory remains cherished and forever time to come. Why does it matter? He can get the documentary that you set up right before WrestleMania weekend, April 1st. I think you announce the induction of Bray Wyatt on April 1st. I think, that's what you should have, the ending of that conversation. That conversation should have been in this documentary about them inducting Bray Wyatt into the Hall of Fame this year. They're doing this, they need to go ahead and induct him into the Hall of Fame. It goes hand in hand. You play the documentary, it's going to get fans more hyped up for Bray Wyatt. And unfortunately, Bray Wyatt can't be there to share the stories, but we're going to have people there to share stories for him. And with Paul Heyman, you have a heavy, great Hall of Fame show. That would be excellent. Put Bray Wyatt to the Hall of Fame. Just because you're having a documentary about him doesn't mean he shouldn't be going into the Hall of Fame this year. Being one of the names that's headlining this class with Paul Heyman, he is deserving. Let's do it. April 1st, let's make the announcement. Documentary on Peacock. By the end of the day, we should hear that Bray Wyatt's being inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame. Should be awesome. Should be incredible. Should be the way. Goldberg! Goldberg is a bitter boy. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, recently in an interview, Goldberg was talking about how Matt Pawn has returned to WWE at that time. Female wrestler in NXT that had been raised up had gone to beat his long undefeated streak. He couldn't even get her name right. He called her Asuka Okosa. Can't even realize that it's Asuka, which is really a damn shame that Goldberg couldn't just find out that her name was Asuka and then release say that the woman that had the longest undefeated streak in professional wrestling, or at least beat his, is Asuka. And again, I think Andre the Giant has the longest undefeated streak in wrestling history. So I don't know. Goldberg has one of the longest winning streaks, undefeated streaks in the modern era or recent eras. And Asuka doing 190 days before she finally lost. Or not 190 days, 190 matches, 190 wins. Whatever it is exactly. Goldberg is bitter. And then he talks about as he returned, people were starting to do his spear and, everybody was doing it, and it's true. Everybody does the spear. It's a little over dramatic now, but I think in some aspects you look at it as respect, that people respect it and trying to help you and your legacy live on by using the spear, something you developed and made your own thing. And you're over here seeming kind of bitter, and it's hard for me to swallow because I'm a big Goldberg fan. Goldberg is a Tulsa boy as much as I am Tulsa, Oklahoma. Even though he rebuilt from Atlanta, Georgia, he is truly from Tulsa, Oklahoma. A long history there in the Oklahoma area, family in the history. So, Goldberg's a Tulsa. So I have much respect for Goldberg. I'm not trying to hinder Goldberg, but it did seem a little bitter as it came off. You didn't, he couldn't say Asuka's name right. He announced it. Come on. I love you, Goldberg. You're great. You did a great thing. You're still doing great things, but it seems like there's still some issues here. We need to move forward. it's just a tragedy that it's out here. That Tony Khan. Tony Khan had Mercedes Moné, Okada, Will Ospreay, Chris Jericho, Adam Copeland, Christian on his last Dynamite and moved the needle none. The difference with, I think, 1,000 less people viewed overall AEW Dynamite this past Wednesday, and the numbers dropped when Dynamite came on the air. It was down in the 500,000s, I believe. They had an increase in Dynamite viewership, or in Rampage viewership, but the people they had about 800,000 on average for AEW Dynamite. But by the time they got to Rampage and that next hour kicked in, a lot of people checked out as we dropped to an average of 500 and some odd thousand. That's a big drop. Dynamite not moving the needle. I mean, Mercedes Moné came out. She seemed very repetitive last week. A few interactions backstage, starting the story, but I don't know if really the interest has been peaked there. Okada won a title off of Eddie Kingston when the fans were beloved and following Eddie Kingston after the Continental Crown tournament. This was supposed to be a special moment. Felt like Eddie Kingston had been crowned, that he really had achieved something special in this moment, becoming a Triple Crown, an American Triple Crown. It was a big deal, but after the new year struck around, that whole story and that whole feeling, that whole vibe, Eddie was never presented in that same light. It was just kind of an afterthought. And then 3 months later, 2.5 months later, technically, 2 3/4, whatever you want to call it, Eddie's already losing the title to Kazuchika Okada, who was making his first ever singles debut match as part of the AEW roster. He made his singles debut in a title match, which he won, leaving Eddie Kingston to look secondary. Now the Triple Crown's dead. They've been separated. Eddie Kingston's going to go defend the Ring of Honor World title against Mark Briscoe at Ring of Honor Super Honor Card or Honor Show on April 5th, WrestleMania weekend. And you're kind of like, wow. We made a big moment for Eddie Kingston. We did this tournament. He beat Bryan Danielson. We got through this tournament. We made it a big deal. We felt like we were crowning Eddie, and we just never carried it. And everybody who sat here and celebrated the Continental Crown tournament thought it was a great thing. Celebrated, talked about all the great stories that came out of it, and afterwards it was just kind of dead. Tony, it's great you have a hardcore basis. You have a solid hand fans. I know there's people out there who said these last 3 weeks have been fantastic. That AEW is on a winning streak. But I don't see. I see Mercedes Moné going out there and doing the same thing. I see Okada's being very watered down variant of him. I don't know if that has to do with him traveling back and forth. If that time of traveling back and forth is taking a toll on him and his body, and he just hasn't adjusted to it. It doesn't seem as impressive as he was. Jericho just doesn't bring anything to it. The match with Jericho and Hook just didn't seem like Jericho was at his best. Now people can love the Adam Copeland Christian Cage match, but you could tell that these two wore themselves out. We ended with Spiky, with people all handcuffed, interference, and all these mixed match things. And then you hear Adam Copeland being the winner, and for the second time being named a TNT champion. Yes, he's a 2-time TNT champion, and it is really sad that he's already a 2-time champion and he's barely been in the company 6 months. Think about that. Think about this. When Adam Copeland debuted, at Full Gear, I believe it was, maybe prior. I don't remember exactly. I think it was Full Gear. Adam Copeland made his debut. They made a big spectacle out of it. He came racing through the streets of Washington, came up, the music hit. It was a big blast. We have not gotten that for Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay is great. Came out to his theme, was awesome. We didn't get any special introduction for Okada. Didn't get anything really big and spectacular. Mercedes Moné. We didn't even get Mercedes Moné advertised. And if we look back, what have been some of the biggest pops and the biggest debuts in AEW history? Jon Moxley was a huge, big debut and made AEW feel very important, very impressive. When Jon Moxley came out and nailed Kenny Omega on a stack of chips, all Double or Nothing, man, that place lit up. That place was awesome. You felt it. You wanted to come back and watch Dynamite to see what Moxley was going to do. When the Dark Order was setting up for the debut of their higher power, the Brody Lee's debut, that felt important because they had a story over time that they told, and eventually, boom, here was Brody Lee. Brody Lee got a huge pop. We got Brody Lee. It was awesome, and he was endeared to the fans, something that was very, very special. When we got CM Punk in AEW, after all the years of not being in wrestling, we built the story. We got everybody there. We got the excitement. We got the fans talking, and bam, AEW took off to the races, and everything fell apart with that, unfortunately. But we missed the hook in doing that same thing. We got Will Ospreay to debut. We got that early on. Will Ospreay carries a fan base that is awesome. Will Ospreay is awesome, and he's great on the mic. So he's been able to carry himself and feel important. But we didn't get anything for Okada, and Okada feels just kind of mid. And I feel like we missed the buck on Mercedes. I think you could have sold out that building more and got more people excited. Would have built Mercedes Monet up like you did CM Punk. But the recent debuts have just been here they are, and no story, nothing to build towards them, nothing to get you excited for them coming. We just knew they were going to be there. You knew they were going to be there. If you were interested in watching them, you watched them. If you weren't really caring, like an Okada, how much weight does the name of Okada carry outside of the hardcore fan base? How much weight does Okada carry without fans that are New Japan knowledgeable? If you don't know New Japan, does Okada really make you go, ooh, this is now must-watch TV? Does Tony Khan really bring anything? Now, Okada's had matches in AEW, Forbidden Doors. We've seen Okada on AEW TV, but now officially a member of the AEW roster. It should have been different, but we didn't give him any prestigious entrance. We didn't give him anything great or a moment to really come out and feel special. Yes, he came out and attacked Daddy Kingston, and it was kind of, it is what it is. Looking back at Moxley, did not feel important and game changing. Look at the debut of Brody Lee, did not feel important and game changing. Have there not been better debuts in AEW than we've had with the last few? Mercedes Moné coming out, her theme music still is not. How can you not get her better theme music than that? Using Walter's All music, still the entrance to the beginning of Imperium. It's kind of drowned out with the CEO chants, which is just kind of more of a annoyance than anything that really helps strengthen her character development. Lost already, and boy, oh boy, Tony, what are we going to do? It could be bad. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Will things get better? Will things turn around? Come on, Tony. You can book it better. We know you can. You used to get millions of views. Can't you do it now? Anyways, on the Big Time, this has been Big Time Rants, episode 76. Thank you for watching. This is the value of wrestling. Always, we thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join us and watch us and check out what was going on the channel. Lots of other content. Go check out the other videos. Me and Mr. Clark will be here later after SmackDown with your post-show review to go over everything that happened on SmackDown, break it down for you, tell you what we thought of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then we'll be back Sunday with the weekly roundup podcast. Discuss everything going on this week of wrestling. Me, Mr. Clark, and Mr. Z all together at one time, talking about professional wrestling. Plenty of content throughout the weeks in the New Japan Pro Wrestling Rebound podcast every Tuesday. You can always check that out. Learn about New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's what Mr. Miguel Z brings you each and every week, keeping you updated on what's going on in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling, getting you excited for what's to come, and what you may need to know about New Japan Pro Wrestling stars. Mr. Clark always brings you this weekend preview, letting you know what's coming up in the world of professional wrestling from Thursday, Wednesday of each and every week. Every day we get this date in wrestling history, so you can learn some knowledge about wrestling history, some great events that have happened, some of the history in professional wrestling each and every day. That comes up on short feed. Go check that out. Check out all the other videos. 76 episodes, Big Time Rants. You want to go back and check all those out. Got other programs coming out, other things that are out. We're always working, always developing new stuff. Can't wait to bring you new content, more content. And of course, if you're still here and you're with me, I appreciate you taking the time out to watch this video all the way through. That is awesome. Make sure you ring that bell for notifications. Give this video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Value Wrestling family. We would appreciate it. We're trying to grow, and we need each and every one of you to help us grow. And finally, if you are a professional wrestler on any scene, if you're part of the professional wrestling world, your developmental territory, if you own your own independent fed and you want a platform to come talk to us, to introduce yourself, worlds, or if you're a major star that wants to help a little podcast get going, we'd appreciate it. Reach out to us at thevalueofwrestling@gmail.com. Tell us what you do. Maybe we can set up an interview and work together, especially if you're an independent federation here in the Northern California area or the Bay Area, where we can get together and maybe help you all promote what you're doing and work hand in hand and help promote the wrestlers, stars, fans, and everybody who comes out. We're looking forward to that. We have a big event hopefully coming up on April 21st that we are going to be at live, me and Mr. Miguel Z. When that information gets more refined, I'm going to give you more details. Still working on one of our biggest interviews to come, working out a time and a date. We do have a big name in the wrestling world that is going to be here on this platform. So ready for that. It's going to be exciting. I am excited for it. Thank everybody for helping us. We thank for everybody who supports us on the Big Time. This is Value Wrestling. This has been Big Time Rants, episode 76. I'll see you next one.